Who's ready for a third week of Double Dog Dare? Anybody ready for that? All right. So last week what I did was I dared somebody to eat one of the spiciest chips we could find, and Tristan is not here. He's in the hospital. Just kidding. He's not in the hospital. And he stood up here, and he took it like a champ. And I was like, well, that was kind of lackluster. And then about 45 seconds, his face melted, and he went out, and Pastor Don got him ranch and sour cream for his tongue, and he ate ice cream, and he was fine. So what I want to do this morning is I want to extend another dare, because I'm at the stage of my life where I would rather be the darer than be dared. And because I have a microphone, I'm going to dare. I need two people to compete this morning, and it's not spicy. Preferably men, because it's Father's Day. And we're going to play a game of Bean Boozled. If you've never played Bean Boozled before, it's very simple. There are two jelly beans that look the same. One is juicy pear, which is delicious, and the other flavor is booger. And you don't know which one you're getting. One flavor could be peach, and the other is barf. That's just all there is to it. So I need two guys, preferably men, preferably Father's Day, because it's Father's Day. Come on, I double dog dare two men to do this. Adam, get up here. You've been selected by your wife. Jesse, you've been selected by Adam's wife. So come on up. Come on up, guys. Right up here. Would you give these guys a round of applause as they make their way? This one is Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks. So this is going to be fun for me to watch. All right. So here's what you're going to do. Adam, you're going to come right over here. Jesse, you're going to go right there. I'm going to give you guys each a spoon because we're not going to dig our fingers in there because that's gross. You want to go first? You spin first. Spin the wheel of disgust. Just give her a little whirlwind. Ooh, birthday cake or dirty dishwater? We're not sure which one it's going to be, so that's one. Adam, you ready for this? Your flavor is either birthday cake or dirty dishwater. Go ahead. Enjoy it. Chew that up. How is it? Oh, yeah. Did you get birthday cake? Yeah. Keep going, pal. All right, now it's your turn. Spin the wheel of disgust. Oh, peach or barf. I've been excited for this one. All right. There's yours. You're getting the... All right, there you go, my friend. All right. Go ahead. Peach or barf? This is so exciting. You both get peach? You would know if it's barf. All right. All right, my turn for them. Let's see here. Let's do strawberry smoothie or dead fish. I'm excited for this one. If you didn't see what I just did, I put it on that one on purpose because I was really excited for that one. Yeah, we're going to double down on this one. They each get two. All right. I hope they're, yes, for sure. I hope they're both dead fish. Go ahead. Actually, I don't because that will smell up here. I got one. And oh, man. Oh, man. All right. So here's what we're going to do. The last one, this is good because it's either toothpaste or blueberry. It's going to help refresh your breath. Because they put toothpaste as a bad jelly bean, and I'm like, I would eat toothpaste. There's nothing wrong with that. So would you give it up for Adam and Jesse? Go ahead and have that. Take the toothpaste or the... Oh, man, it stinks like dead fish up here. I can smell it. So gross. Well, they accepted the dare, and I'm going to be suffering the consequences for the next half an hour. But that's okay. So the question I've asked is, would you rather be dared or be the darer? Because a dare is intended to show your worth, show your value, show that you can handle it. And what I've been doing these past few weeks is to kind of helping us understand that we need to get better and be better in areas of our lives. And so I extended the challenge week 1 and week 2, and there's still time. If you're newer, today's your first day, we welcome you, and you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Get better, be better, do better in one of these areas. Just pick it and win it. And maybe for you it's spiritually, like I've just drifted from Jesus. I used to be close. I used to love him. I used to honor him. I used to serve him. I used to obey him. And then life happened, and life is hard, and he took a back seat. Maybe it's relationally, physically, financially, maybe it's one of these. You just pick it and you go after it. So you basically, what you were doing is we're saying, here's what I'm going after and here's why I'm doing it. And then we set the when and we invite someone in. If you don't invite anybody in, then nobody knows what you're going after and you can quit so easy. There's no accountability. So often this is where we fail. If nobody knows what you're going after and why you're going after it, when you quit, there's no accountability. Who knows? Nobody knows. So invite somebody in. Because the truth for you, just like it is for me, you can't have a better life. That John 10:10 life that Jesus talked about, you can't have it built on broken character. We can all do better, be better, love better. And so last week what we did was we talked about the fact that we just have to keep going, be consistent, keep walking, stay committed in whatever you've picked, keep striving for it. But today what I want to do is I want to flip the script. I want to go from the opposite slant, the opposite view, and I want to ask you, or I give you this thought, in order to win, what if you have to let go of something? What if there's something or someone that's holding you back from being better relationally, physically, financially, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, verbally? What if in order to take that next step to win, you actually have to let go of a destructive habit or a toxic relationship? You have to let go of your pride or your ego or your reputation. You have to let go of a grudge or some bitterness. I think about the Old Testament heroes and even into the New Testament, some of the people that God asked and kind of tapped on the shoulder for them to do great things for him and the things they had to let go of. Like I think about Noah. He's given the assignment, build the ark. And it's 120 years from when he gets the word from God that he's going to have to do this, gets to do this, and 120 years later the flood actually comes. Could you imagine the ridicule, the embarrassment, the mockery? He had to let those things go in order to follow God. I think about Abraham. He's promised a child. It doesn't come, doesn't happen the way he thought it would. God's promised him, I'm going to give you offspring as numerous as the sand on the shore, the stars in the sky. The child comes, and then God says, hey, I need you to let him go for me. I need you to kill him and sacrifice him. Now, if you know the story, he doesn't end up going through with it because God provides another sacrifice. But for God's test to Abraham, it was, what do you value more? Is there a relationship in your life that you value more than God? Abraham had to wrestle that down. I think about Moses. God tapped his shoulder and said, you're going to go toe-to-toe with the most powerful human on the planet. His name was Pharaoh at the time. And I need you to go tell him to let my people go. And what did Moses begin to do? Excuse after excuse after excuse. And maybe for you, you need to start letting go of some excuses. I don't have a degree. I can't be a good Christian. I can't tell people about Jesus. I never even graduated high school. I just work in the warehouse. I'm not important. Stop with your excuses. I think about Peter. You want to talk about a guy that had to let some things go to be used by God? Not only did Jesus tell him, you're going to betray me, he did betray him, and then he's living with this shame, this guilt, this remorse, this regret, and Jesus taps him on the shoulder on the beach and says, can you please let that go? Can you let go of the past? I need you to build my church for the future. And I wonder if there's some here today that need to let some shame go. Some guilt. Yeah, you made a mistake. You messed up. Okay. You ask for forgiveness, and then you let it go and move on. Because if Jesus can forgive you as far as the east is from the west, we need to begin to forgive ourselves as far as the east is from the west. Amen, church? Some of us live in condemnation, and it's not from Jesus, it's from self. We have to let some things go. What if, in order to win, you have to let go? You know, back in 2020, and I hate the C word, so I'm not going to use it, but there was this show that was on when the world was shut down, and we started to watch it, and it was called, for me, it was America's Got Talent. This show came on, and I watched this show, and this releasing control piece was exemplified during the show of America's Got Talent when I watched trapeze artists. I don't know if you've ever seen them do their stunt, do their shtick, and what they do is when they train, they have a harness on. And so when they let go, in order to be caught by the catcher, the flyer, if misses, it has a harness on that kind of like a bungee that catches them. And I'm watching this on America's Got Talent. I'm like, letting go has to be the hardest part. To be able to just to trust that as soon as you release from your bar, that security, that the person on the other side is going to catch you. And then I listened to an interview after the show about the trapeze artists, and they said this: it's not letting go that's the hardest part. The catcher has the hardest part. The person that's letting go has the easiest part. They just let go. But the catcher has to watch the timing of the flyer. The catcher has to watch the angle and the trajectory of the flyer. The catcher has to reach out at just the right time and catch the flyer and grab the flyer and grip the flyer. The catcher has to absorb the flyer's momentum and the impact. The catcher has the hardest job. Now, I want you to take that same principle, that same mentality, and apply it to your life spiritually with you and God. The great catcher has the hardest job. We have to let go. And trust that he's going to catch us. Trust that he's going to embrace us. Trust that he's going to forgive us. Trust that he's going to hold us. This is the hardest part. And this is sometimes the reason why many of us fail to fully surrender our lives to Jesus. Because when we release control, we don't know the outcome. In fact, I think this is, if you're like me, you're going to understand exactly what I mean by this. This is modeled when I think about this. This is the world, right? It's a big place. So let's hone it down. Let's shrink it in a little bit. And let's just go to North America. All right? Think about what you can control in North America. There's only one thing that you can control in North America. It's you. Only you. That's it. That's all I can control in North America. I can't control Washington. You get a vote, but you don't have a say. You can't control the weather. Because if I could, it'd be 76 degrees every day and sunny every day with a slight 7-mile-an-hour wind out of the southeast, bringing that ocean air without the humidity because we don't need the frizzy hair, all right? 7 miles an hour from the southeast, ocean air, 76 degrees because you can wear shorts and a sweater. You wear jeans and a t-shirt. And for all of you who like the rain, it can come from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't need it in the daytime. But I can't control that. You know what else I can't control? The traffic at Squirrel Hill Tunnel. But can we talk about it for a minute? How in the world, when you get to the tunnel, do people like all of a sudden go in reverse? Like go in negative speed. It drives me nuts. But you know what I can control? My attitude and my anger when I get to the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. Because we're cruising along at 70 and then we're going 4. I don't get it. Just keep going. Don't touch the brakes. Just keep going. But I can't control that. You know what else I can't control? My hairline. My wife said to me the other day, she said, you're receding a little bit, honey. I'm like, yes, I am. I can't control it, babe. I cannot control it. Your children. We want to. And sometimes in our attempt to control our children, they go the other way because children are not meant to be controlled. They're meant to be coached, mentored, disciplined, trained, but not controlled. You can't control anything but you. And this is why it's hard for us to trust God, because we drive ourselves crazy trying to control things that are actually out of our box, out of our control. And Jesus is saying, you know what, I think I need to help you understand this a little bit differently. I got to flip the script for you. In Luke chapter 9, there's a text where Jesus is talking to his disciples. And he asks them, he's got them in a kind of a quiet moment, and it won't even be on the screen. I just want to read it to you. I want you to hear it. It says, once when Jesus was praying, he's in a private place and his disciples were with him. He asked his group of 12, he said, who do the crowds say I am? They begin to reply to him, well, some think you're John the Baptist, and others think you're Elijah, and others would say you're a prophet from long ago that's come back to life. And then he makes it personal. Okay, all right, that's fair. Who do you think I am? Who do you say I am? And Peter, being the loudmouth, because that's what Peter is, first to go for pretty much everything, he answers, I think you're Christ of God. I think you're the Messiah. I think you're the Son of God. And then Jesus strictly warned them, don't tell this to anybody. I must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, the teachers of the law. I must be killed, and on the third day, I'll be raised back to life. And then he told them this, and I want you to catch this. If anyone would come after me, they must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. Doesn't make any sense. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet lose or forfeit his soul, his self, his worth, his value? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man will be ashamed of him when he comes in his glory. And then he finishes with verse 27. He says, I tell you the truth. Some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the kingdom of God, which was a foretelling of a few days down the road, they were going to have a transfiguration, and some of the disciples saw that. But there's a verse in there that kind of popped off the page. And it was hopefully this works. I'm having trouble with my clicker. Verse 23. It says, if any man would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. And what I want you to catch is that this word, take up their cross, this phrase, this symbolism was pain. Brutal, crucifixion, execution. That if you really want to follow Jesus, get better, be better, live better, love better, serve better, honor better, speak better, you need to die to yourself every day. In fact, in John 15, Jesus says, I'm the vine, you're the branches. If you want to have life, you have to stay connected to me. And then I think about what this kind of looks like for you and for me, and I think about this. You're going to get it. If you're like me, I bowl twice a year, maybe once, sometimes twice. And I do this. This is universal. I grab the ball. I go, is it these three fingers, these three? I don't know how to hold this. And then I just grip it the other way around because I don't know what I'm doing. And then I tiptoe down the runway so I look good. And then I let it go, and then I do this. Ooh. Ooh. You know what that is? That's the universal lean. It's not going where I thought it would. If you ever watch a bowler that does the lean, they're like, I'm trying to get it to go, but that's not going where, I'm not good at this. I do the lean all the time in bowling. Do you know why? Because once the ball has left my hands, I can't control where the ball goes. If you've watched bowlers that aren't good, they do this a lot. And there's some people in the room who are doing this a lot. Trying to correct our lives, control our lives, fix people, change things that we're not meant to control. And many of us are living on a lean. The only thing you can control is you. The only thing you are meant to control is your relationship with Jesus. And that's why it's really interesting in Luke, when Jesus is talking to Peter, he makes the statement, whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever will lose his life will actually save it. Think about the concept of that. If you want to save your life, you're going to lose it. If you want to lose your life, You're going to save it. Now, I need a volunteer to come up and help me illustrate this. There's no spicy chips, and there's no barf or dirty socks. I need one volunteer. You're actually going to win something. It's going to be great. Trust me. Leah, you've been volunteered? No, okay. Anyone? You're going to love it. Anybody? I promise you it's good. I know you don't trust me. Gary, come on up. Come on up. Right up here. Give Gary a hand. Can you stand right here? All right. So here's what I want you to picture this. In our minds, what makes sense is this. Winning, holding, controlling, gripping. This is good, right? We're in control when we're like this. Keep your hands just like that. That's perfect. Whatever you catch, you can keep. No, you just cheated, Gary. Gary's like doing like you're a cheater. You know where cheaters go. Now, play fair. Whatever you can catch, you can keep. You are not doing so well right now. You are failing miserably, Gary. All right, how much did you get? 8 cents. Perfect. Okay. Now, in Jesus' economy, in his life, this is losing. You are a cheater amongst cheaters. Never play cards or gamble or bet with this guy. Bad things. You will win. Now, this makes sense to control. This makes no sense to win, right? But with Jesus it does. Because he says, when you lose, you win. Hold your hand like that. Whatever you keep, whatever you catch, you can keep. There's $25 in here. No, he's got a good grip on this stuff. Look at this guy. He's like, I'm catching all of this. Think about this. Think about this. Gary just made, none is yours, in 18 seconds, he made $25 because he learned that this is God's economy to win. Would you give it? That's yours. Keep it. Yeah, no? Well, then give it to somebody else. All right, you're going down. I'll hold it for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Give Gary a round of applause. When we learn the way he thinks and the way he works, our lives change. And so many of us think, oh, I've got this under control. I've got this. I can handle it. I'm winning. This is great. And God's saying, no. If you want that better life, that John 10:10 life, because I came to give it to you and give it to you to the full. And you're like, Dan, you say this every week because we have to catch it every week. The deceiver comes to destroy you. Jesus came to bless you, to give you more than you can imagine. You want more love, more grace, more kindness, more patience, more hope, more forgiveness? It's this. And some of us have to learn to let something or someone go. Jesus said in verse 27, I don't know if you caught it, it's the very tail end of the verse. He said, I'm telling you the truth. He wanted you to catch something. He wanted the people, his readers, his hearers. He said this over 75 times. Do you know why? Because the people he was talking to had deceived themselves into thinking they were better than they were. They had deceived themselves into thinking they were loving better than they were, and they were honoring better than they were, and they were speaking better than they were, and they were caring better than they were. And he said, I'm telling you the truth, you've deceived yourselves. And some of us need to let self-deception go. We've deceived ourselves. And honestly, we come by it naturally. You know why? Because of Hollywood. We pay big dollars to see movies that are fake. Even movies that are based on real events. You know what they do? They add filler in, they add storyline in, they add plot in, they add fiction in. They got to fudge it a little bit, embellish it a little bit to drive the sales up. And we're like Hollywood when it comes to ourselves. We've conditioned ourselves to think we're better than we are. We're doing better than we are. We're loving better than we are. We're serving better than we are. We're honoring better than we are. We're speaking better than we are. And what's interesting is we know the damage that a lie can do, a deception can do. We've seen it happen and ruin friendships and relationships and businesses and business partners. But when it comes to ourselves, I'm good. I don't need help. I can control it. It'll never happen again. And what if letting go is the key to unlocking the better life that God has for you? What if actually letting something go, a destructive habit, a toxic relationship, a grudge, some bitterness? I wonder if some of us need to let go of a faulty mindset. You think that God somehow rejected you. But what if God didn't reject you? What if he removed you to protect you? I've never been good enough. I never fit in. I was always told I was too loud. I'm too obnoxious. I'm too overbearing. I'm too much. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not rich enough. And you felt rejected. But what if God was actually protecting you from, because you would have caved and compromised in? If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I'm adopted. I was adopted when I was 3 months old. And for the first 20 years of my life, I had a faulty mindset. That God somehow, if my biological mom couldn't love me and she gave me up, then that's what God's going to do. Eventually I'm going to do something to God or not do something that he wants me to do, and he's going to abandon me and he's going to reject me, just like my biological mom did. 20 years of a faulty mindset. Till I went to college and went to counseling, and a counselor said, what if God didn't reject you? What if he removed you to protect you and put you in a home with godly parents that care about you? Who knows what would have happened in that home, Dan? What if that was God's way of protecting you? And I'm like, man, that's a different mindset I need to take on. And some of us in the room need to get rid of a faulty mindset. Stop living in the mindset of rejection and view it as protection. What if he removed you from to get you into a better situation? And it might not be there yet. You might be waiting for that. What if the thing that's holding you back actually isn't something that you're lacking? It's a relationship that you have. There are two types of people in the world. There are what we call basement dwellers and balcony shouters. There's only two kinds of people. There's the people that like the toilet paper over the roll, and then there's the people that like the toilet paper behind. And my wife would call them psychos. It has to be over. Toilet paper goes over. There's two types of people, right? The ones that they're on a quarter tank of gas and they're like, oh, I better fill up. Next gas station, I can't get into a half a tank. And then there's those of us that the light comes on and we're like, we probably still have another 30, 40 miles in this hoss. There's only two kinds of people. There's the people that know how to fold a fitted sheet and the people that roll the fitted sheet and shove it in the closet. There's only two kinds of people in the world. There are basement dwellers and there are balcony shouters. And the basement dwellers, you know who they are because they're just constantly sucking the life out of you, dragging you down, speaking negatively, pessimistically, no hope, no encouragement. They are basement dwellers. And then there's balcony shouters. Hey, keep going. Keep going. You got this. You can do this. I'm in your corner. I believe in you. And I'm going to tell you, I have never met somebody who's like, I've just had it up to here with this balcony shouter. They're just too encouraging. All they do is speak life to me. All they do is speak hope to me. All they do is speak kindness. I have just had it up to here with them. No one's ever said that to me. But you know what somebody said to me this week? Dan, I've had enough of the people in my life that just suck the life out of me. It's constantly negative. They're never affirming. They're never appreciating. They're never valuing. And I don't know how much more I can take in the relationship, Dan. I've never heard someone say, I get too much hope. And there's only two kinds of people. There are the basement dwellers and the balcony shouters. Ask yourself internally right now, which one are you to the people around you? Are you a basement dweller? Or are you a balcony shouter? And so maybe your double dog dare isn't so much about gaining something as it is about losing something or someone. In fact, Paul in Ephesians gives us a pretty good list of things we should lose. He says, get rid of rage, get rid of anger, get rid of brawling and slander and malice, get rid of all your bitterness. But you know what happens when we get rid of something? There's a hollow. Because if you're ridding yourself of something, there's a void there or a gap there. And Paul gives us a list of what we should fill that with. He says, fill that with, get rid of the bitterness and the rage and the anger, but then fill it with, replace it with kindness. Get rid of the basement dweller mentality and fill it with a balcony shouter. Fill it with kindness and compassion. Fill it with forgiveness for each other. Do you know Jesus told us that we are to forgive others in the same manner in which he forgave us? I don't know about you, but I need a lot of forgiveness from Jesus sometimes. And I'm called to forgive others with that same attitude, that same posture. What Paul says is when you lose your bitterness, you actually find life. When you lose your rage and anger, you actually find life. When you lose the way you speak negatively, you actually find life. What he says is when you lose, you win. When you lose, you actually win. And so how I want to kind of wind this down and kind of wrap this up is I want you to think about, what is it you need to lose today? Maybe it's not a what, maybe it's a who. Who do you need to lose? In a moment, we're going to wrap up our time with what I kind of phrase as a kind of a response moment, a sacred response moment. And we're going to open the altars, and that's a weird concept to say. And as I was working through this message, I'm like, the altars are never closed. It's not like there's a barrier in front of them where like they only open at certain hours. No, they're always open. But when we do worship time at the beginning, very rarely do people come forward. It's just a weird practice we just don't do anymore. But sometimes people need a special invitation to come to the altar. But I also believe there's something holy and sacred when we come to the altar. So what I'm going to do, just honestly, is I'm going to play a song or two of worship with you, and we're going to stand in a minute. We're going to sing corporately together and end our time in worship. But I wonder if there might be some people here that need to let something go. Maybe it's a relationship. And you're going to get up, and you're going to come up, and maybe you're going to bring your phone with you. And you're going to go onto your social medias and you're going to delete them and block them because they are basement dwellers sucking the life out of you. And that's a boundary you have to draw. And then you're going to go into your contacts and you're going to block them and then you're going to delete them. And that's a healthy boundary. I got to let they're dragging me down and I can't have it anymore. Maybe you'll come forward and you're going to let some bitterness go. Maybe it's been bitterness towards your parents because they didn't do something they should have. Or they did something they shouldn't have. Maybe it's towards your grandparents, your aunt, your uncle. They should have been something for you and they weren't. They shouldn't have done something to you and they did. And you've been holding on to bitterness because you think it's control. And it's the old saying, holding on to bitterness, holding on to rage, holding on to anger is like lighting yourself on fire and hoping the smoke bothers them. And the only person that gets burned is you. And you're going to get up and you're not going to care what people think. You're going to get up and you're going to say, I've had enough of the bitterness. I forgive them. And forgiving doesn't mean you forget what they did. Forgiving doesn't even mean you accept what they did. Forgiving means I'm going to let you deal with them, God. Because when I think about them, I become a basement dweller. When I talk about them, I become a basement dweller. And you're going to let them go, and you're going to let go of the burden, and you're going to let Almighty God fight your battles for you. So I'm going to close with this imagery for you. Jesus is dying for the sins of the world. You've seen pictures, you've seen movies depicting it. You know what it looks like, Jesus laying on the cross. And when I see that and I think about his last words, you know what he said? He said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they do. Into your hands I commit my spirit. And the great catcher caught him. He just let go. Done. Into your hands. And God said, I got you. And I wonder if he's saying the same thing. Just let go and let the great catcher hold you, and let the great catcher heal you, and let the great catcher bring comfort to you this morning. And so, Father, you know all things. You are with us. You care deeply for us. You care deeply about us. And so, God, in this moment, I just pray that you would give people the courage to stand up where they're at, to step out, and let something or someone go. Help us not to think about what others would say, what others might think about us. Help us not to justify the moment, oh, I can do this in my seat. Well, we can, God, but there's something about standing up in front of others and letting go of our pride, letting go of our reputation, letting go of our spiritual ego, and stepping out and saying, God, this has been holding me back. This habit, this addiction, this struggle, this relationship, this bitterness, this burden, this person, they've just been holding me back, and I want to let it go so I can go to the next level with you. So God, we just ask that you would take that. Be in this moment, God.